So let me start. So today I'm talking about hyponatremia. So quite a common condition. We all manage it on a day-to-day basis. But what I see in my day-to-day practice is most hyponatremias are not managed appropriately. So we probably overtreat or completely ignore it and don't recognize it for a week. So I think this is condition. A history examination and simple blood tests are sufficient to make a technical decision. Our talk, I'm going to talk about, I'll start with the definition, a bit about the epidemiology and pathophysiology, and go to management. The management, I have gone with a few perspective and manage how I manage hyponatremia. A good way to manage would be also to use the Endocrine Society Hyponatremia guidelines, which were published about 2 years ago. The European societies have also published data on hyponatremia, guidelines on hyponatremia. Are slightly different in management, but I think I would totally support the endocrine societies, which I think everyone should try and read at some point. So all you have to do is speak access and Google search endocrine society hyponatremia guidelines and you get the document. Hyponatremia by definition is the level. Most labs use 135 as the lower end of normal, and so sodium of less than 135 would be by that. And I think concept to understand is hyponatremia is not just low sodium levels, but it is excess of water in relation to sodium in our body. Because most people, as soon as I see you have no salt levels, I have a bit more salt in my diet, which is not they have to drink less water. On most, so going to hyponatremia is quite a common problem. In this admission, if you admit 10 patients, I'm sure there are 2 or 3 people with low sodium levels. This is what is called in published data. Most published data, depending upon where the patient is, right? They just range from as less as 10% to as more as 50%. So if you look at subarachnoid hemorrhages, 50% of them in neuro ICUs have low sodium as compared to the community hospital where you are seeing less severe admission. You may only have 5% of patients. This is a very good paper from the Americans where they saw more than 300, about 3 lakhs. So low. Okay. A bit louder. Hear me. Maybe I hope I've come near the mic, so might be better hopefully. It's not only admission in the community. About 7% of people who come to a family doctor, a general physician, might have hyponatremia. Other ones, especially a sodium of 116, it's less frequent. So it's about 1 in 5. Sorry, my mobile. So quite a common condition, but again, it's also a very dangerous condition. So if you look this, this so the shift between hospital admission in serum sodium in hospital mortality. As the sodium level goes down, the inpatient mortality goes up. So if it's 110, it's about 15% just within the hospital. So it is. So there are some data going back to 1984 to 2006, and this whole data. So in each of this, the mortality you can see here in the last column, they from 5 to 50%. And this is cut-off criteria. So at one of these papers from Gill in Edinburgh, what he showed was you see on the degree of hyponatremia, the in-hospital mortality is less than 115, it will be at 50%. Not only hyponatremia, people dying within the hospital, but also if you look at people who have hyponatremia, and this is data where they are followed up over a period of 12 months, and you see the survival rate the graphs divide apart very quickly. In the first couple of months, the difference is there are more than % of that. Hyponatremia is a marker of increased mortality. One which is emerging from various data says people with chronic hyponatremia are at significantly increased risk of fractures. So let me the fracture point of view. So looking at the next slide. So this is percentage. So people who have hyponatremia and percentage frequency of fall. If the source is low, to whatever extent, there is at least 20% increased risk of fall in all groups of patients to various degrees of hyponatremia. So if you fall more, it is another nice, very good experiment where people were deliberately made to go hyponatremic by giving them lots of water, and they were made to walk on a line, and they were attached to special equipment which elevated their gait. And you see from the left hand and the right hand column there. So when they were hyponatremic, their gait was all over the place. As soon as the sodium normalized, they could walk more in a straight line. Unsteady gait and hyponatremia is associated with reduction in bone mass. So the NH3 data show that if sodium is 130, then the odds risk of having osteoporosis is 2.85. So there's 3 times higher risk of osteoporosis because apart from calcium, there's also sodium in the bones, and the chronic hyponatremia, so the body is trying to extract sodium out of the bones and may also contribute to osteoporosis. So let's at the physiology, sodium concentration. So we know that sodium hyponatremia is a common problem. So it's a serious problem both for an inpatient and even as an outpatient in terms of mortality and morbidity. So let's look through some of this. Sodium concentration is mainly controlled by 2 organs in our body: it's the brain and the kidneys. So it's by
Hello.
Can't hear anything.
Yes, please wait. There might be a connection problem. Please be online. There might be a connection problem.
All right.
That got disconnected there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was just trying to call you.
Okay.
Yeah. So you may continue.
Bit?
Second, sir. So do it.
Go back. I'll on the physiology slide. I'll go back a bit here. So first, there is dehydration. So when dehydration, there is increase in plasma osmolality because there is reduced in body water. The brain through the osmoreceptors in the hypothalamus. Two things: the thirst response, water intake, that osmolality to increase body water. The response is the AVP release. Pituitary causes antidiuresis or retention of water and osmolality. The AVP includes in the periphery through all the B1A receptor where it causes vasoconstriction and maintenance of blood pressure. So those happen at a much later stage, but the early response is the renal response. Where is receptor? First, through the B2 receptors, there is production of aquaporins 2, which normal absorption of water. It's very, very closely guarded. So it's very maintained between 135 and 145. So it changes in the sodium levels causes you see, the y-axis here is the ADH level. As soon as sodium goes slightly higher, ADH level shoots up, and when it's 135, it almost becomes so. And as the sodium level goes up, thirst improves, or the sodium level drops. There is increased diuresis and reduction in extracellular fluid volume, which is showing the same thing. So the response, so if someone says, if you look at the first graph, the dark brown line, the drops, though there is the antidiuretic is produced, and there is retention of water, urine volume start dropping. dropping, and as soon as the sodium heating up, the volumes also go up and the urine volumes drop significantly. So it concentrates urine and there will be very, very small volumes of urine. As soon as the plasma osmolarity hits about 80, so that's when we start feeling thirsty and start drinking water, and this is all well balanced. So hyponatremia can be, so what the mechanisms or the simple logical thought about how called hyponatremia is, one can be because so if you look at here the sodium, potassium and water going in, it could be one is dilutional, so there is more water, people more water, or there is water retention for various reasons for this hyponatremia, or it could be depletion, so there is more sodium and potassium compared to water. So the hyponatremic disorders are bulimic dehydration. So if you make soldier walk out in the desert, they sweat a lot, they lose water, but they lose more sodium, hypovolemic dehydration, or someone have gastroenteritis, hypovolemic dehydration, or it could be other people. It's now common practice by many people drink too much water. I have had people drinking 10 liters of water daily, ending up with hyponatremia. So politics here. The most common scenario with the SIDS, and talk about it later. And the extracellular fluid volume expansion as we see in heart failure. So there is in heart failure there is hyperaldosteronism, there is sodium and water retention, more water retention into sodium, leading to because of the heart failure and all the mechanisms we have. From this point of view, I'll be talking more on the management of SIDS in particular. Very straightforward in management. The way people present with hyponatremia, so it depends upon how rapid the onset of hyponatremia is. If there's a drop from 145 to 120, the symptoms may be different. Someone who's had in a day or two, to someone who's had this drop in sodium over 2 years. And hyponatremia also matters. Quite non-specific lethargic here. So often we see this hyponatremia is found during blood tests, or it could be neurological manifestations like agitation, disorientation, seizures, and coma. We also have other signs of other illnesses or are hypovolemia. So acute hyponatremia already seen it's associated with high mortality, morbidity. So sorry, this is more repetition, but this is comparison between acute and chronic. So if someone's sodium is up to 112 in less than 12 hours, so there are 14 patients here. You can see number of people, mortality and low sodium as the cause of death was 36%. And most many of them have neurological symptoms. That's compared to chronic hyponatremia, though sodium was 118 here. You can see the from low sodium, but the symptom number of people having symptoms are only a minor. Hyponatremia cause death is usually cerebral edema, brain herniation. So a sudden hyponatremic brain looks like cerebral edema. This is an example of people dying of hyponatremia. So 22-year-old, this was news from the Daily Mail in the UK. A 20-year-old died after completing his first London marathon because of much water. So a fitness instructor, who should have probably known things a bit better, all he did was he drank glucosate, which is like the glucose beta powder or syrup are the juice we get plain glucose and water. There's no salt in it, and because of acute hyponatremia. So again, the bit of repetition. So usually it's mild symptoms: headache, irritability, mental slowing, unsteady gait, falls, disorientation. But sudden acute is of life-threatening, super coma, convulsions, respiratory arrest, and we can what I say the degree of symptomatology is often helps us know whether this is acute or chronic. So if someone you see in the outpatient clinic has a sodium of 115 and he has walked into the clinic, you could be confident that his sodium has been low for some time. Diagnosis often a good history. So if someone has had lung, then you probably know what the reason for hyponatremia is, or have diarrhea, vomiting. There are many medications, the SSRIs, then diuretics, especially hydrochlorothiazide, all those drugs. Majority, as soon as you look at the drug chart, you know what the cause of hyponatremia is. Or inadvertent use of IV fluids. Often it's very common, mainly in our across the surgical ward. It's common practice to give IV fluids to patients eating and drinking, and we often get a call a few days later saying the patient's sodium has dropped. I think examination also is quite important. So look for hypo or hyper or hypovolemia, dehydration. But the key tests are these. Actually, the first two. So plasma and urine osmolality and the urinary spot sodium are one of the most important tests to differentiate what cause of hyponatremia is. Apart from the GI electrolyte, liver function test, group adrenal function test, and cortisol may be indicated in some patients. Think about the flow chart of diet and approach to hyponatremia. So someone has hyponatremia, you could look at reality. If the C is low, have hypotonic hyponatremia. So this is the assessment. Say if someone's sodium is low but you see it's normal, then pseudo hyponatremia. So we usually see this in marked hyperlipidemia, where triglycerides are usually in the range of 2,000 to 3,000. Multiple myeloma. If someone's sodium is low, then can you hear me? Okay. So another way, if someone's sodium is low but osmolality is high, then you think about hyperglycemia, or someone is being given agents such as mannitol, which could have contributed to the hyponatremia. So the treatment there is completely different. But then what we see in clinical practice is hypotonic hyponatremia, or serum osmolality is also low in keeping sodium, serum sodium being low. And clinically, you can use then if you have CV monitoring, that's useful things. Blood pressure and the blood urea is also useful test to say if some blood urea is raised, then you can be fairly confident that they are hypovolemic. In such situations, so if someone is hypovolemic, it could be either renal or extrarenal losses. Fairly fun history. Again, heart failure, cirrhosis, renal failure, again, fairly obvious from history examination. But euvolemic ones are the ones you have to differentiate. Where, hypothyroid, ADH, and water intoxication. So, water intoxication is very obvious because, as soon as you get a osmolality uh, and urine osmolality will be very low, urine sodium is going to be low, as compared to days where urine sodium and osmolality are going to be high. So a serum clinical evaluation and urine sodium osmolality are sufficient tests to say what cause of hyponatremia. So, diagnostic criteria for SIDH is one is serum osmolality. Serum osmolality should be inappropriately high. So, if someone's serum osmolality is less than 75, we see physiology there. The arginine vasopressin hormone be completely suppressed. The diuresis and urine osmolality should be less than 100. But if more than 100, the inappropriate antidiuresis. Euvolemia is an important criteria. Normal thyroid and adrenal function, and then use diuretic. Hyponatremia. So there are 4 issues which I feel should be addressed. One, whether patient is, I think one and probably the most important, is the patient symptomatic or asymptomatic. And again, across these things are acute. So you have seen a patient a day ago, sodium was 135, and now a day later patient is 20, fairly certain that it's acute. More than 48 hours. And if not certain that the onset of hyponatremia, it's always better to assume that it's a chronic hyponatremia. And status of the patient. So if someone is dehydrated, you give them IV fluid. So volume status is important. Because that correct treatment can lead to osmotic demyelination or sexual spontaneous demyelinolysis. So, and you can see from these MRI scans that this could have a devastating effect on our patient. Usually, the symptoms could be a simple tremor, urinary incontinence, or dyslexia, to much more severe quadriparesis, quadriplegia, mutism, locked-in syndrome, and cranial nerve palsy. So it could have quite devastating effects on us. Correction entails balancing the risk of hyponatremia versus the risk of correction. So hyponatremia is there is more benefits from correction than the risk. Risk of hyponatremia is higher compared to risk of correction. Chronic symptoms is a balance, but the asymptomatic patient, this is when the patient, the sodium is 110 in the clinic. I know you probably need to admit if sodium is 110, but you'll have to be a bit cautious on treatment because correction are much more than the risk of hyponatremia. So how to treat hyponatremia? So one is so if someone is hyponatremic, you can lead them, depending on technology, you can replace sodium through saline infusion or hypertonic or 3% saline infusion, or you can use and class of drugs, because these are class of drugs. When I look through the physiology, so I'll put that here.
class. Hello.
Maybe connection problem. Please wait online.
So I think I'm back. I'm back again, connected. Mr. Satish, can you get the share screen for me?
Just a second, sir. Yes.
So hopefully everyone can hear me now. So,
Yes,
so
yes,
if
yes,
someone is acutely hyponatremic, has severe medical symptoms, you can, especially such as seizures, you can give a 200 ml bolus of hypertonic saline followed by an infusion rate as I described in the last slide. Use the sodium by 1 to 2 millimoles. First, the symptoms resolve, and aim for sodium to be not corrected by more than for 24 hours. Monitoring and managing this patient in ICU would be a good idea. If it's chronic hyponatremia, patients often asymptomatic. Using extra fluids, hypertonic fluids, stopping drugs helps. And here, we aim the serum sodium to be by less by 1.5 or 1 ml per hour and not more than 12 24 hours. But someone's sodium is 105, I might want the sodium to improve by only 8 millimoles per 24 hours. If sodium is 125, then maybe I would probably be a bit more relaxed at the rate at which the sodium is correct. Again, in practice, as soon as someone's sodium is low, people are corrected to a drip of hypertonic saline. which this puts the risk of overcorrection much higher extent, leading to the central pontine myelinosis. And actually, there is data to show that if hyponatremia or whatever disease after has been corrected, MRI scans have shown central pontine myelinosis in as many as 40% of patients, though not all of them were symptomatic. Especially if you're giving hypertonic saline, I think you should monitor the sodium frequently. So for me, I think if we can go through about what has caused the hyponatremia, look how symptomatic the patient is, then you can decide on the treatment. So if you're fairly certain that this is SIDH and if the urine biopsy is in keeping with them, patient is asymptomatic, I think fluid restriction at least or two would be a good thing, and hypotonic saline might not be needed in all the cases. So the health problems, I think prevention of hyponatremia should be what we should aim for. So IV fluids only if indicated, appropriate IV fluids, and if you use hypotonic fluids such as 5% dextrose, use with caution, always mix it up with some normal saline. Then monitoring of fluid balance, diuretics or medications such as SSRIs cause hyponatremia. You have to monitor serum electrolytes on a regular basis. Management is chronic hyponatremia. If some of the slides seem to have been there, is the use of tolvaptan. We recommend use of tolvaptan only in severe hyponatremia, which is not improving with fluid restriction. So sodium less than 125 is when I would use tolvaptan. NDI have recommended tolvaptan usage to be limited to 6 weeks only. And where you could help with patient's discharge of the patient is due to dose of chemotherapy. So hyponatremia is stopping them having that. So you can use tolvaptan to bring the sodium up and then help with chemotherapy or aid early discharge from the hospital. So that tolvaptan I don't think has a role in all hyponatremia, but I think severe hyponatremia definitely has a role. Yes, course, fluid restriction might be challenging for patients at least because they don't understand that fluids is also including water, milk, and buttermilk, but people just think that it's water only. Hyponatremia is common. There's increased morbidity and mortality. It is necessary for management. I would recommend that hypertonic saline to be used only in immunological symptoms and monitoring is necessary and don't correct too quickly. So I think I finished with the presentation. So maybe we can have a couple of questions and then we can go through the questions. So if you want to ask questions, please feel free to ask me now.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Sir, this is Rohit calling from Kolkata.
Yes.
My question is, sir, what's the role of the tolvaptan in hyponatremia, sir? Should we use in the OP basis? Because
yeah. So again, this is what go on. Ask your question.
yeah, I wanted to say that if the patient is not in fluid overload or there is no dye or loose stools, but also we see a patient coming with hyponatremia, which the clear-cut drug history induced drug-induced hyponatremia, or there's a heart failure or liver failure.
Yeah.
In that case, tolvaptan.
So again, this is the degree of hyponatremia and how confident about whether this is SIADH. So if you're there, so in the patient you were describing, there was no obvious etiology, and I suppose so you say urine sodium was more than 40 and it was in keeping with SIDH. Then the degree of hyponatremia is what would matter to me. So if someone's sodium is 130, I would start with fluid restriction. I give tolvaptan as an outpatient, especially if patient is well and asymptomatic. Now, so at a sodium of less than 125 as an outpatient, this is despite your advice for fluid restriction, then I would consider short period of tolvaptan.
Thank you.
Current recommendations, the Europeans have gone for completely don't use tolvaptan as an outpatient. Americans are saying use tolvaptan on an individual basis if someone's sodium was very low. I think the price of tolvaptan in America and Europe is about it's quite expensive. So one tolvaptan here is about 80 or 90 rupees. As compared to tolvaptan in Europe, it's about 10,000 rupees. So it's quite expensive drug in. So I think for guidelines purposes, and their data is not very strong. So on those lines, I think the guidelines have said don't use it. But if someone has persistently hyponatremic, bit drowsy, patients are not keen on admission, I would use tolvaptan in such situations as an outpatient. But I would start in about 1 to 2 weeks time with another sodium. There was a question which was typed. The question is somehow did not I can't see it. Can you please say the question? So can I have the question read out to me, please?
Rohan, can you just ask the question?
Hello.
Sir, that was my only question, sir. Regarding use of
There's someone else who typed in, is it mandatory to something? Was that you, Rohit?
Sonia.
Yes.
So tolvaptan always has to be started as an indoor or OPD basis, and then it has to be continued as an OPD drug. So is that how it is, or you can start?
Yes. I know. I think the main concern here is the sodium going to correct too quickly? That's the main concern. So if you are doing it as an inpatient, then you have the luxury of monitoring sodium levels. But do it as an outpatient, then you are not certain. You give tolvaptan and patient might turn back after 3 months saying you gave me the drug, I couldn't come back. So that's worry. If you're fairly certain that the patient is reliable and will definitely come back, or you can counsel them properly, I would start it as an outpatient, or not on a regular basis. My usage of tolvaptan is not very high as an outpatient.
Okay. And one more thing regarding oral salt supplementation that we do in usually IPD patients.
So that is I don't really understand the physiology behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does salt? So here the hyponatremia is because of excess water, not because of less salt. So if someone has diarrhea, I completely agree. You give them salt supplement, you give them ORS, whatever. It's actually a traditional practice which has been passed on over generations, but I think this is absolutely useless, not medicine.
So it's wrong.
Completely wrong. Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything to ask?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So once osmotic deamination has occurred, if we have corrected it too quickly, then what can be done next? Reversible osmotic deamination?
Once people have had osmotic demyelination and that's it, you can't do anything about it. The prognosis is quite variable. symptoms do improve with time, but some of them are left with tremors and incontinence. I have seen a couple. So one of the lucky things is sodium doesn't get corrected quickly for whatever reasons. Whatever we do. So I think in ways we are a bit lucky in that way, because whatever has caused the hyponatremia is still keeping the sodium low. But I have seen a couple of patients who are chronic alcoholics who have been down the street with symptoms of 115, coming to hospital, emergency department as a whole, have even normal saline, sodium is corrected quickly, ending up with incontinence. People dying because of rapid correction of sodium. Osmotic demyelination comes in PR, and they end up with neurological sequelae.
So that's irreversible, right?
So you can't do anything here. It will mainly be physiotherapy for them.
Okay, right, sir.
So I think yeah, go on.
You told the use of 3% hypertonic only when the patient is having severe
Systematic. Yes, I agree. Yes.
how will we calculate the rise of millimoles in sodium using this 3%?
So usually the 3% saline has 1 liter has 500 milliequivalents of sodium in it. Through the calculations, actually, you can look at the total body water, everything, but the calculation asks, going back on the slide, so it's actually, the math becomes very simple. If you want to raise by 1 milliequivalent per liter, so what you have to do is multiply weight by the desired rate, correction rate. So increase by 1 milliequivalent per liter per hour, you divide body weight by 1. If you want to increase